All right, K-Mart is here. Which face do we have? There we go. There's the K-Mart Shock face of the week. He can change that practically daily. Here we go. Would K-Mart be shocked if Jalen Hurts and the Eagles lose to the Browns this week coming off a bye?
Greeny, I would be that picture is actually accurate. I would be so shocked because Deshaun Watson has been so bad. The man has had a QBR of 8. I think at this point, his total QBR, like, it's just been terrible. It's just so bad. And here's my thing. If you're the Eagles, we're looking at you as a team that's loaded with talent. If you lose to the Browns, who are scuffling, we talked a lot about Greeny's team, but the Browns have been worse.
I might have a higher QBR than that.
In one game, I'm not saying total right now. The total QBR is like 34.
Okay.
So.
I mean, that'd be crazy better.
Would K-Mart be shocked if Jaden Daniels and the Commanders beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens?
This is a good one, Greeny. No, I would not be shocked because that kid is so damn special. My biggest question, though, can that Ravens defense, which can hold on to leads, can they stop the Commanders' offense? That's a much bigger question. Listen, Lamar Jackson, he's phenomenal. He's one of the best we've ever seen. But Jaden Daniels, do not sleep on this kid. He is a appointment television viewing.
His QBR is way above 8. Finally, would K-Mart be shocked if Mike Tomlin started Russell Wilson this week against the Raiders?
I would not be shocked.
Wow.
But I don't expect it, but I would not be shocked. Only because Mike Tomlin, to his credit, did not put himself in a corner. He didn't put baby in a corner. When y'all wanted him to name Justin Fields the outright starter, that man said, I don't need to do all that. We go week to week. And right now, this week, the tone is changing just a little bit.
It is. Let's hear the tone, actually, what she's talking about. This was Mike Tomlin yesterday talking about the now heating up quarterback situation. Here's the plan for Russell.
We're in a little bit different place as I stand here today with Russ this week than we have been in recent weeks. He'll get reps with the second unit as to not disrupt Justin's preparation, and then we'll see where all of that leads us as we push through the week. The fact that he's a full participant is a door that's ajar, but to say any more than that is to speculate.
He hates speculation, guys.
I know, but he just says words so well.
It's so good.
The best speaker. So what did that mean?
Well, when he said, as I stand here today, I wanted to vote for him. Like, that man could deliver some words. But that means Russ ain't playing. Because you know what slang for running with the twos is?
Let him.
Running the scout team.
Preach.
Russ is not, they're not going to blow a day of preparation for their starting quarterback and do first and second down, short yardage running, all that stuff. And then on Thursday, like, I don't know. Let Russ get out there. So, like, he's probably, if they're going to start him, I think they'll see how Fields plays this week. If Fields plays better and continues to improve, I think they want to stick with Fields. That makes sense. But if they're going to start Russ, it's not going to be this week.
Russ better light up that Pittsburgh defense on that scout team. If you want to try to get a job that way, that's a tough way to get a job. Because remember, he's missed almost 30 days of practice. That's a lot. I know people don't think practice matters, and some people act like it matters. And being with that group and getting, finding form and rhythm with your receivers and your offensive line and running, it all matters, and he hasn't had a chance to do that.
So, agreed. The reason I say I wouldn't be shocked is because this entire Steelers situation had been trending like Russell would be the starter. I understand he had the hamstring injury, but each week, Tomlin has had an opportunity to slam the door on any of this chatter, and he is not. So whether it's this week or not, it's on Justin Fields from the beginning. Justin Fields can slam that door for good.
That's exactly right.
But Justin Fields, though he's played well at times, he hasn't given you that, consistent wow of, this is the man we're going to ride into the sunset.
And on top of that, there is potential for Justin Fields to be in Pittsburgh for the long term.
Right.
And we know anything about Mike Tomlin is that he wants to make players uncomfortable. Right, and he wants to see what you do in that situation. So to your point, Justin Fields, he's been good in moments. He's been meh in others, right? And he hasn't earned the respect of that comfortability to say, oh, you're our guy going forward. No, there's always going to be someone looking over your shoulder. And I want to see what you're made of to either fend him off or fold under the pressure, because it gives us a very clear answer on what we have going forward.
Look, I'm fine with all of that, and as an unapologetic Justin supporter, if you watch the show, you know I've always been a believer in him. I can't pretend that he has set the world on fire, but I would also ask, with whom is he supposed to be setting it on fire? They have as What did you say?
Meh.
Group of wide receivers as there is in the entire NFL, and their offensive coordinator does not seem inclined to do much different.
So that is the interesting thing in Pittsburgh, which is why the Davante Adams thing, which is why I say Davante going to Pittsburgh makes a ton of sense to me. Because opposite George Pickens, I think this is the problem where you have George Pickens is such an athletic talent. He is so good. He can catch anything. However, okay, we just have to stop George Pickens. All right. Is he creating separation? Is he a guy that's going to give you that?
He's not reliable either. But
that's part of it. I do think in that locker room too, George Pickens seeing Davante Adams, that route technician, that guy who's about his craft, I think also helps that young receiver. You don't think so?
No, I mean, maybe. I think Davante Adams helps every team. I think George Pickens being their number one is a problem at this point. Like, that's an issue. But there's also the things that you see from Justin Fields when you watch the games. It's not only that nobody's open, because people are open. Justin Fields is missing opportunities.
Yeah. Right.
And that was the thing I saw about him early in the season. Even when we thought he was playing well, it was like, all right, he's playing well, but he's missing these plays that'll take him to, like, good or to great. And then last week he regressed a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. It's not, we can pick on George Pickens, it's fair. But the issue with them is not that people aren't open. Right. That Justin's not hitting them.
The issue for Fields and how he's going to do is explosive plays matter in the NFL. And they don't have the ability to create, and he hasn't made enough explosive plays. That's why Russell Wilson is still viable, because if they feel like he can give them a better chance at explosive plays, that's what they will do. That's what wins in the NFL.
We'll see. I mean, they're going to play the Raiders, who we assume will not have Davante Adams on the field this week. Yeah. Maybe he winds up on the other side. Jets owner Woody Johnson making a stunning and unprecedented move yesterday, firing Robert Saleh, naming Jeff Ulbrich the interim head coach. Johnson saying he consulted with general manager Joe Douglas, but called it, quote, my decision and mine alone. The Jets are 2-3. They've lost back-to-back games against Denver and Minnesota. The latter of those came at the hands of former Jet quarterback Sam Darnold. It's worth pointing out Sam Darnold beat Robert Saleh in both his first game, Saleh's first game, and Saleh's last game as the coach of the Jets. It's not really relevant to anything, but it was interesting to me. Okay, so Schefter, I saw this news on your Twitter feed about 1 minute after I went off the air yesterday. So I'm just giving you the floor. For the fans waking up around the country, what do they need to know?
Yeah. Well, let me say this first and foremost. The last time I remember being this surprised about an in-season coaching change was when I was sitting in John F. Kennedy Airport about to fly to New Orleans. I was sitting with Booger McFarland. It was 6:30 a.m., and I got a call that the Indianapolis Colts were about to hire Jeff Saturday. Now, it'd be great if we had Jeff Saturday on set to talk about this at some point in time. And I was like, Jeff Saturday? And I turned to Booger, and I said, Jeff Saturday's taking over as the coach of the Colts. And Booger said, no, he's not. Are you out of your mind? You drunk? And yesterday, I landed in Detroit, and we get a call that the Jets are making a head coaching change. It was a similar reaction. What? Surprised. Again, early in the season, middle of the season. And I think, Greeny, you have paid as much attention to the Jets as anybody else. I don't think that this was a decision made based on this season alone, despite the fact that the Jets started games slowly, had a lot of penalties, lost the last couple of games, and have had a disappointing season so far. I think that this is a decision that encompasses Robert Saleh's full body of work. And I think that this was something that had been building in Woody Johnson, the Jets owner. And I think as more and more time goes on, we'll probably hear more and more reasons and explanations as to why the Jets decided to do this. Ultimately, a lot of people will look at Aaron Rodgers, wonder if he had a role in this. They have been staunchly denying that Aaron Rodgers had any involvement in this, and that may be true. But the fact of the matter is people are going to wonder about that going forward, no matter how much the Jets deny it. And I can say right now, I don't think he did, but it doesn't matter. There are a lot of people who do think that Aaron Rodgers was involved, and that'll be a part of this moving forward as well. You have the fact that Woody Johnson's never done this in season, 25 years. The last time this happened with the Jets was back in the mid-'70s. Lou Holtz, Charlie Winter. We go back to names that a lot of people don't even know. But I think ultimately, in the end, even though Aaron Rodgers and Woody Johnson, everybody insisted Aaron Rodgers had no involvement in this, Aaron Rodgers looms over this because this could be the last year of his career. And ultimately, Woody Johnson didn't want to waste the last year of his career, and he didn't want his team playing the way it had in the first 5 games. And before it got away from him, He figured that they needed a new energy, a new vibe in the locker room, and he decided to do what Jim Irsay decided to do, to go to an interim guy to bring a spark, to bring more energy, to make a change that they believe will benefit this team and give it a chance to win this division. And let's keep in mind, if they win Monday, on Monday Night Football against the Bills, the Jets are in first place. First place. And so Robert Saleh still gets fired. And oh, by the way, a lot of people around the league upset about the fact that the Jets would do this because they really like Robert Saleh as a coach and a man. So there are all sorts of implications, all sorts of reactions, and we can go from there.
Yeah. And look, the Rodgers of it is something that it's impossible to ignore. The specter of him looms over everything. So the idea that they would make a move this significant without his at least being consulted on it is very difficult for me to picture or imagine. But let's put that to the side. Schefter, on NFL Sunday Countdown, you said that the outcome of that game on Sunday in London might go a long way towards determining whether the Jets would make a move for Davante Adams. You said the owner, if they win, might be more inclined to make a move like this. Well, meaning make a move to go out and mortgage more of their future to get Davante Adams. They didn't win the game. He came back to the United States and fired the coach. Where does that leave the Davante Adams situation? Because I think it impacts not just the Jets, but obviously several other teams as well.
Well, again, let's keep in mind, he is the former ambassador for the United States in the UK. So he knows a lot of people over there, has a lot of friends there. When he goes over there and sees his team lose a game like that, I think that makes him even more upset. And they were coming off a game in which they lost at home to the Denver Broncos in a game that a lot of Jet fans did not expect them to lose, when they had a lot of penalties, when they played their poorest game of the year. And I don't think the owner could have been or would have been happy after that loss against the Denver Broncos. So it's hard now to go to Woody Johnson after a loss in a city that he worked as the ambassador, say we've now lost another game. He's probably even more angry than he was last week. He wound up firing his head coach. Oh, now let's go spend the money that's required and needed to go get Davante Adams when Aaron Rodgers has gotten dinged up the last two games, his knee the week before, his ankle now, everything feels fragile. I would think that the owner would be in less of a mindset to go make a bold move like that. And the fact of the matter is, in the NFL, trades in season are usually almost always made on Mondays and Tuesdays, because Wednesday everybody's getting to work. They're installing the game plan that the coaches have been working on Monday and Tuesday. You don't see usually trades made Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it now looks like, unless there's a change, an unexpected change, it's another week where Davante Adams is on the Raiders roster, where Mark Davis is going to pay him $970,000 for potentially not playing in a game due to his hamstring injury. And the Raiders are waiting for the proper return. And the two teams that Davante Adams wanted to go to, the Jets and the Saints, well, the Jets fired their head coach and are coming off a second straight loss. And the Saints lost their quarterback potentially for multiple weeks due to an oblique injury. So those circumstances just changed just like that. Doesn't mean the Jets still can't trade for Davante Adams. They might be able to do that. But it looks like this week is going to come and go without a Davante Adams trade right now. It does look like he will continue to sit out there. And who knows what's going to happen in week 6, how the dynamics will change again. But the blender will get shaken up, and it'll be a whole new drink that comes out, and we'll see whether the Saints are more interested, the Jets are less interested. But the dynamics in the league change week to week. A week ago, it looked like the Jets and Saints could be in on Adams. Now, there are questions with both teams and their level of interest in Adams. And who knows what other team might need a wide receiver.